So this board revision process, people have to file that, I think, by the end of March if they do want to challenge it. Then tell us a little bit, what's the Board of Revision? Who is that? What are they looking at?
Sure. So the Board of Revision is made up of 3 county officials. It's the auditor, the treasurer, and one of the county commissioners. And so if you think about it, the auditor is sort of reviewing his or her own work as a third of the panel.
I always like to grade my own papers.
That's right. And when you go in there, depending on how big of a property we're talking about, you can do sort of a basic presentation, which is with comparable sales. If you feel like it's more significant, technically you probably should get an appraiser to come in and do a written appraisal, which again can be cost prohibitive. But if we're just talking about residential properties, generally you can come in, bring some comparable sales, and try to convince the auditor that it's overvalued. The other thing to keep in mind is you got to be careful, because generally speaking, houses are valued by the county less than what they would really sell for in the real world. Not always, but so you got to be careful that you come in and say, well, what would somebody really pay for that property? And you could be shooting yourself in the foot, unfortunately.
I never thought about that. So you go and you make the complaint with the Board of Revision. Doesn't mean it has to go down.
It does not.
It could go up.
It could, and that's very unusual. It's very unusual that it would become worse, but you could be, wasting a little bit of time. I think you really need to compare your property to somebody else's in your neighborhood and see if you agree of the relative values. In addition to the taxes being based on what yours is worth, if you think about the tax rates and the tax reduction factors, the complicated rollbacks of tax rates, your property's value as compared to someone else's is almost as important as what yours is worth standing alone.
Yeah, that's one interesting thing about our code. I, as a private citizen, don't like your valuation. I can complain and say that Steve's not paying enough taxes.
That has generally been the rule. However, there's been some reform in Ohio. House Bill 126 from 2 or 3 years ago has sort of limited the ability for both non-owners like you trying to challenge my property, and limitations on school districts who are trying to increase their revenue for schools. There's been some limitations put on that. So it's a little bit harder for somebody else to try to challenge your value, and some of the elements that will allow you to do that is there's been a sale, and it's been a sale that is pretty significantly different from what the auditor's value is. So in the past, you're right, I think that's sort of been slowed down a little bit by the legislature in a good way.
I agree. I mean, you can make some good fences make for good neighbors, right? You want to make some bad neighbors challenge your property valuation. Yes. One last thing here in this area, if I'm still not happy with the Board of Revision decision, and they keep the valuation, or they don't move it to where I would like for it to be, is there anything left to do, or am I kind of stuck there?
Yes, the owner has 2 options. The owner can appeal the Board of Revision loss to the Court of Common Pleas in their county, or they can appeal it to the Ohio Board of Tax Appeals. That can become expensive as well, and you got to be careful about how to do that procedurally. If you're the owner, you can be your own lawyer. If you're not the owner, you got to be careful. You might need to use an attorney to appeal to either the Court of Common Pleas or the Ohio Board of Tax Appeals.
Wrap this all up. Use the informal process as best you can before they actually set a value.
Work
with your attorney.
It saves money, and it keeps the opposition out of the room.
All right. Well, I say work with your attorney. Work with your auditor to do that. Next, go to the Board of Revision. You have that period of time. You have to file the complaint. And at that stage, attorney involvement, definitely some appraiser involvement would be very helpful to be more successful at the Board of Revision.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you have the Board of Tax Appeals, or going directly to your county common pleas court.
That's right.
Thank you for giving us a little update on this process. Hopefully folks can use that for their benefit and make their tax decisions on a smart basis, so they can save money for themselves and for all those that they love. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.